So today I'm going to be showing you how to make a fully reversible skater dress with pockets. I have made my pattern available on my Etsy if you want to use that, but you can also just use any very basic skater dress patterns if you already have one. You should be able to apply the instructions in this video to that kind of pattern. In terms of technical sewing skills, I would say it is a relatively easy project just because you're going to be using one stitch throughout and all of your seams are hidden, so you don't need to be particularly precise or neat. You will be using an overlocker or a zigzag stitch on a regular machine. I would recommend an overlocker if you do have one, it will be a lot easier. I think that is everything, so let's get on with the tutorial. So to make this project you will need two different styles of fabric. I would recommend choosing fabrics that complement each other just because there is always a chance that there will be some peeking through on the other side. Your fabric should be a 4-way stretch fabric. I normally choose 95% cotton, 5% elastane. This is 95% polyester, 5% elastane, so that will work as well, but most stretch jerseys will do the job. Also make sure that you pre-wash your fabric to make sure that you allow for any shrinkage. I have 4 meters in total of my fabric here, 2 meters in each style, but I will use probably about 2.5 meters for a size small of this pattern. You will also need an overlocker if you have one, or if not, a sewing machine that has a zigzag stitch. You will need some flat braided elastic. This is optional, but if you can get some, I would recommend it. You will want some fabric scissors, something to draw out your pattern. I use fabric pens, and some pins. Just to make things easier to explain in this video, I'm going to say that this is fabric A and this is fabric B. So now I'm going to start laying out my fabric to cut my pattern pieces. So I'm going to start with fabric A, and I'm going to lay this out with the right side, which is the side that you're going to want for your dress, facing upwards. So you want to make sure that this is as flat and crease free as possible, which can be tricky with stretchy fabrics, but just do the best that you can with this. And then I'm going to take fabric B and I'm going to lay that on top of fabric A with the right side facing towards the right side of fabric A. Again, just try and smooth this out as much as you can. So now you're going to take your pattern pieces. If you're using my pattern, you will have 3 separate pieces. You will have a skirt piece, a top piece, and a pocket. So you're going to draw around the top twice. You're going to draw around the skirt 4 times, and you're going to draw around the pocket twice in this orientation and twice in this orientation. And once you've drawn out your pattern pieces, you want to take some pins and pin within the lines that you've drawn out, just to make sure that both of your layers of fabric stay together once you are cutting them out. Now you can start to cut out your pattern pieces, just making sure you're being careful to cut through both layers of fabric, and with it being stretchy you can have some trouble with cutting out your shapes accurately, so just go quite slowly and be very careful. So once you've got all of your fabric pieces cut out, you should have 4 skirt pieces, so that is 8 in total because you've got the 2 layers of fabric. You should have 2 pockets in this orientation with this straight edge facing left. You should have 2 top pieces cut out and 2 pocket pieces cut out with the orientation of the straight piece facing right. So now I'm just going to go ahead and take out all of the pins because this will make it easier to work with the individual pieces. So now that I have all of my pins removed, I am going to start separating my pieces into fabric A and fabric B. So all of my orange pieces are going to go in one pile and all of my blue are going to go in a second pile. So I'm going to work with fabric A first, so I'm just going to put fabric B to one side. So now you want to take 2 out of 4 of the skirt pieces that you've got here. They don't have a specific orientation, so it doesn't matter which 2 you pick. I'm going to take 1 of the 2 top pieces that you have. I'm also going to take 2 pocket pieces, 1 with the straight edge facing left and 1 with the straight edge facing right. And again, you can just put the rest of these pieces to one side for now. So now you want to start to construct your dress. So you're going to take your 2 skirt pieces and lay them together, and then along this straight edge we're going to pin down here. This can be tricky to line them up, again with them being stretchy fabric, but just do your best. And now I'm just going to sew down this edge with my overlocker, and obviously if you don't have an overlocker you will be using your zigzag stitch. So once you have sewed down this edge, you can open your skirt up, and I'm going to take my top, place it right sides together, and I'm going to pin the bottom of the top to the top of the skirt. This one's a little bit more tricky because the top of the skirt is obviously curved. And now I'm going to go in and sew along this seam, and as I do so I'm going to stretch the 2 together just ever so gently. So now we're going to add the pockets, so I'm just going to fold the top up. I'm going to take a tape measure. If you don't have a tape measure, you can just use anything to give you an idea of the same level on each side. So you could draw out a little piece of paper and put it here and just mark on each side, just to make sure that your pockets sit in the same place. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to measure 1 inch from the seam that joins the top and the skirt, and I'm just going to add a little mark. And this is where the top of the pocket is going to sit. So obviously if you want it to sit lower, it can. If you want it to sit higher, I mean, I probably wouldn't recommend it sitting any higher, but again, it would still work if you want to do that. And then 1 inch on this side. It doesn't have to be perfect, just to give you a rough idea. So then I'm going to grab my pockets. So you want to line up the straight edge with right sides facing together with the correct side. So I'm just going to line up the top of that pocket with just slightly underneath where I put the mark. Okay. And then I'm going to pin this just down this edge. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. Just measure that up with your mark and pin along the straight edge. And now I'm just going to sew along these edges. So now you should have something that is starting to resemble a dress. So you're going to go in now and do exactly the same thing with all of your remaining pattern pieces. So you should end up with 4 pieces that look like this. So now you should have 4 of these pieces cut out, 2 in fabric A and 2 in fabric B. So I'm going to work with 2 at a time. So I'm just going to get rid of 1 of each type of fabric. And then I'm going to take fabric B and lay that right side facing up. And I'm going to take fabric A and lay that with the right side facing the right side of fabric B. You just want to try and line up all of your edges. This one. And then once you are roughly lined up, I'm going to go in and I'm going to pin together the armholes. I'm going to pin together the neckline, the armhole on the other side, and then I'm going to pin together all along the bottom edge of the skirt. And now you just want to go in and sew along all of the edges that you've pinned. Once you've sewn your 2 pieces together, this is optional, but I'm going to go in with some flat braided elastic and take it around the armholes and around the neckline. So once you get to this stage when your elastic is on, if you've chose to do that, again, you don't need to, it will just add a little bit of extra structure. You want to repeat all of the steps that you've just done with your other 2 pieces of fabric, so that you have got 2 identical pieces. And then you just want to take one of your pieces and turn it to the right side out. And then just keep your second piece inside out. So then I'm going to take the piece that I've turned right side out, and I'm going to start feeding it inside the piece that is still inside out, making sure that the right fabric is facing the right fabric. So here I've got my fabric A, the orangey one, facing the orangey one of the inside out piece. So you want to go in and match up all of your edges. So put your straps inside the inside out straps. Again, making sure the fabric is facing the right fabric. And then with the second strap, I'm just going to go in and pin them in place. And then you want to do the same with the edge down the side. So I'm going to start by pinning the bottom of the skirt. At this point you will be pinning through 4 different layers of fabric. And then I'm going to do the very top of the dress around the armpit kind of area. And then you want to go in and pin right around your pocket. And then once you've finished this edge, you want to go around and do the exact same on your other side. So once you've pinned down your edges and at the top of the straps, you can go in and sew all along the edge for both sides. Take your time and make sure that you are lining up all of the seams that are inside, and just be careful to make sure that you're getting all 4 layers of fabric in your stitch. So then once you've sewn all of your edges down, you will want to seam rip a small hole in the armpit of the top so that you can pull your dress through to the right side. You're going to need a big enough hole that you can pull the whole dress through, but bear in mind obviously the material is stretchy, so you will have some give there, and you don't want too big a hole in case when you sew it back up it doesn't look as tidy. And then once you have your hole, you can start to gently pass through the dress. And now all that's left to do is to close up your hole with, I would recommend a ladder stitch by hand.